Peace, family. Peace, family. Chef Joseph's Kick Salsa Entrepreneurs channel. Back at you again with another episode or video. Today is Wednesday, January the 28th. Wednesday, January the 28th. Glad y'all came back. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Man, moving forward. Just here to talk to you a minute about something is that is happening. And I don't know if you can feel it. Well, I'm sure you can feel it because everybody noticed there's a shift that is happening when, you can see what's going on around you and you may not quite know what it is, but you can sense there's something wrong or something's changing. I like to remind people like that before language, people did not communicate by speaking. They use sounds, they use telepathy. That's a word you don't hear too much, about anymore. Telepathic, where you can, another story, look it up. But telepathic, telepathy, basically, is when you can basically speak without saying a word type stuff, which does exist, you know. But today I want to talk to you about something that many of you may begin it, you can sense it, but you may not quite put your finger on it. But I want to touch on the subject today about when the Most High starts to shift you. When God, Allah, however you want, whatever your form of that term is, if you want to use Jesus, you want to use Yeshua, you want to use Allah, you want to use God, you want to use Buddha, whatever put your God in that particular place. But I'm going to say the all, I am that I am. The scripture talks about I am that I am, describing the Most High. But when the Most High starts to shift you, that's going to be the title of this video. Is when the Most High starts to shift you. Yes, I had to gather my words on that because you all can feel. Can you feel a shift? Can you feel a shift in your job? Can you feel a shift in your relationships? Can you feel a shift in your friendships? Can you feel that the season may just be over with for what you've been in for a while? That is a clear sign that the Most High or the universe is shifting you. And because you no longer start to fit into those type of spaces anymore. Because the Most High is calling you to something greater, something higher. Some may say your divine calling that you're about to walk into, or your divine season. And you cannot go into your new season by not shifting and getting prepared to go to that next level. Are you prepared for that shift? There may be many that have walked amongst you for a while, that has been walking beside you, but as you start to go higher and climbing into your purpose, the altitude going up into the clouds, the altitude changes, the atmosphere changes, the oxygen level changes, and not many people are designed to go that high with you. I think it's kind of a sad thing, but yet at the same time, it's kind of, I don't know the word for that, but it's kind of a sad thing because, let's just say you've been walking with someone for a season, for several seasons, whether it be years, and you had intentions on building this thing together or whatever you were building, and then you realize that the Most High, your season starts to change. And when things start to change, you look to your left, you look to your right, and you realize the people that have walked with you, they're not prepared to go as high as you've been called to go into the altitude. See? I had a sermon one time, and my mentor had gave me clarity on it. He had kind of gave me some information and stuff like that, and so I started processing. And I may read it to you too. I don't have it with me, but it was called Above the Clouds, and it was talking about the altitude. And not getting into the whole sermon because I want to quote it correctly. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I may go through some things. I need to pull that book out. Matter of fact, my sermon book, my book of sermons. And yeah, talk to y'all about that because a lot of those things helped me form to the entrepreneur that I became to this day. And again, there were pivotal scriptures and things that I had, went into the pulpit speaking and stuff like that at that time when I was, in the church. I'm not a churchgoer at this point. I do believe in God. I do believe in the Most High. I definitely believe in divine appointments and divine connections. I've superseded the church myself. You know what I'm saying? So many things I see with that whole situation, which it's all becoming unraveled. But hey, to those of you all who need that, then you need what you need, and that's respectful. I've transcended church and religious doctrine myself, but I do believe in practice scripture. So back to altitude. So as you started going high up into the clouds, you've already packed your bags, you got your oxygen mask, and you're going to need to put that on at some point. And unfortunately, if you try to explain what is you may have to explain what an oxygen mask is to those who've been walking beside you. Now you got to train them, etc. But when the whole time they should have been following instructions and getting prepared as well to go up into the clouds with you. But what happens if they're not designed to go into the clouds with you? Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes people have to be left behind in love because they have their own path, they have their own season, they have their own journey to fulfill. And it's not a bad thing because we've all been put here to do something. But definitely as you start going high, yeah, the air gets really thin. That means fewer friends. That means people are going to misunderstand you. People are not going to understand. They're not going to understand you. They're not going to understand why you walk different. It's because of your calling. And if you're not strong enough, then you'll realize that, then you could possibly succumb to their thoughts of what they think about you. I failed that test many years ago, like over and over, because I used to worry about what people thought about me. But then when I started, understanding, overstanding, and, understanding, and overstanding that I am definitely different. My calling is totally different. I have to walk a certain way. And so some of you are the same way. You may not understand why you're different, why you don't fit in. You know what I'm saying? Because the spirit is pulling you out of certain things so it can have your 100% divided attention, on on what you need to do on the planet while you're still here. But definitely, you have to look at, when God starts to shift you and the atmosphere starts to shift around you. And my advice is to be obedient to that. And one of the key things that you'll notice when you start to shift is that things won't feel the same anymore. The conversations that you used to entertain and have with people, they don't even make sense anymore. It's like it hurts your ears. You know what I'm saying? Because you're like, man, I'm not even in that phase of talking about these things no more. I'm talking about elevation. And as an entrepreneur, I can tell you that's why I've had a lot of problems when I was working. That was kind of my main thing because the Most High was pulling me out of this, out of the job situation, which is nothing wrong with jobs. Absolutely is not. But what happens when your calling is bigger than a job? And I talk about that in the book. And matter of fact, like I said, the book is finished. It is in the second phase of the editing. I actually had put two editors on it, because it's definitely telling my whole life story. And I do talk about that, of how I was fired from 11 jobs, you know, not because I was a bad employee at all. I was early to work. Most of the time I get to the parking lot, I might be 30 minutes early, sometimes an hour, take a little nap in the parking lot and get ready for my shift. But the Most High was calling me out of the job situation. And the more I tried to hold on to it, the more I tried to hold on to the job, you know, it was like the more problems I started having. You know what I'm saying? Why don't he talk to people? He don't talk to us. You know what I'm saying? He don't smoke. He not out here talk about the girls. He ain't talking about the numbers, playing numbers. He's just different. And he stayed to himself. What's wrong with him, boss? Something wrong with him. See? Why can't a person just come to work and do their job? You know what I'm saying? And then leave. But because you don't fit their mold and you don't fit their narrative, then you automatically become public enemy number one. And so God or the Most High or the universe, to whatever terms you're using, that's why I'm referring to it that way, the all in all, starts pulling you out of this situation. The next thing you know, you get fired, or this job, all kind of stuff, when it comes to that job situation. And I was literally dismissed from 11 jobs. Seriously, and a total of 11 jobs over a certain amount of time, you know. And until one day, the universe was like, yo, if you're supposed to be the hot sauce man, why you not selling hot sauce? And that was the light bulb right there for me. And some of you going to have light bulb moments as well. You can drop it in the comments. What was your light bulb experience when you realized that you started shifting? I know the situation that I'm in now, talking about the shift, and which may be the title of the video as well, because I haven't put a title to it. I just started flowing the way Spirit gave it to me. But I can tell you that the people that I see around me now that have not shifted, in the words of Zaza Ali, which I can't, take credit for that because I actually learned the term, or I became familiar with the term through listening to her. Um, NPCs, NPCs, NPC, which stands for non-playable characters. And non-playable characters have not developed themselves. It's nothing against them at all. NPCs have not taken the time to really develop into their fullest potential. Is there anything wrong with that, Chef? Absolutely not. If a person chooses to want to just stay in their zone or in their comfort zone, then that's fine. Not everybody's called to do certain things. There's nothing wrong with them. But at the end of the day, as you start to elevate and the altitude changes, and then the air gets thin, and you need to put on an oxygen mask. These people, they're gonna be clueless. They gonna be looking at you like, what they got an oxygen? What's that on their face? You know what I'm saying? What they wearing that for? Then they hunch their buddy on the shoulder. What they wearing that? What's that on their face? You know what I'm saying? They don't even know it's an oxygen mask because you're going higher. You've elevated. And I think in that elevation stage for me, like, honestly, I think it's bittersweet for me. Because I know that the season is over with in this particular season. And though wasn't even fighting about it, you know what I'm saying? But the Most High started showing me everything, and I actually put it in the book. And you will be seeing it very soon, right? For real, I'm very proud of this work, and it's tight. I won't tell you the title yet. I just want to just present it to you, because it talks about the whole story of the Chef Joseph story, and that's why I cover a lot of stuff. But however, back to the subject, when I look at the people that are around me now, the workers and stuff like that who are doing the best they can to make it, may the Most High bless them. Seriously, deep down in me, I know I don't fit in. I just don't. I don't. I put all the distractions and the noise and all the fake looks that you get just because you're a black man doing, things that are positive in the community. Um, and you tend to stand out. Not because you're like trying to be better than, it's just like you found your purpose. You have a reason to live. So many people are dancing to the drum of other people. They're dancing to the drum of society. They're dancing to the drum of rumors. They're dancing to the drum of what they think, or what they hear about people and all this stuff. They dancing to the beat of those drums. So when they see someone who's dancing to the beat of their own drum. Matter of fact, I made my own drum. Matter of fact, I found where I can get the whatever type of hide they use for the drum. I think it's like some type of skin, like some type of I don't know the type of skin, but it's like a skin that they use. I don't know if it's cow, lamb, or whatever, but it's like a drum skin. I'll just use that for lack of better words. So I found a drum skin, had to go out as an entrepreneur. That's another thing, is y'all entrepreneurs, you're going to have to KILL, for the lack of the better words. I don't want to say it and trigger anything on the algorithm, but the KILL, you have to KILL your meal. You have to hunt for your prey. See what I'm saying? You're a wolf. You have to hunt for yours. See what I'm saying? Let's talk. I know I'm changing gears, right? But it's a whole spiritual conversation, that I'm tying in. I want y'all to follow me. Just walk with me on this one. So you had to make your own drum, okay? You had to find where the skin came. Matter of fact, you had to KILL the animal or whatever you use to basically to layer for that drum skin. You had to find your screws. You might, you had to go to Ace Hardware. And, I love, by speaking of, shout out to Ace Hardware. I love Ace Hardware because anyway, it's like an old timey store. In my opinion, not as old timey, but I'm just saying it's like a store from back in the 80s, and you can go like get little screws at a time. Let's talk. Let's talk, okay? Because I work on different projects, so you can go to Ace Hardware. You may not need 30 screws, but you can go to Ace Hardware and get 3 or 4 screws, 89 cents a piece, stuff like that, because you don't need a whole pack of 30. See what I'm saying? But you can get your little knick-knack stuff. So you're building your own drum. You had to go into the woods, cut down your tree, shave down your drumstick so you can beat, and then think about the ones who said, here go, they get the drums hand. Now you look, excuse me, I want to jump ahead on that one, but you have to, you built your drum. Your drum look good and it's creative. What? Your drum is tight. Put colors on the drum, and people admire that drum. They're like, damn, that's a nice looking drum. Where'd you get that from? Amazon? You be like, nah, I made it. Right there. That piece right there can trigger enemies. That right there can trigger enemies. It sure can. Or not necessarily enemies. You can say enemies, you can say haters, you can say people who just are just in shock that you were able to make your own drum. You know what I'm saying? And it's possible to make your own drum. You just got to use what the Most High give you, which is in between these two ears. You know what I'm saying? It's in between this right here. It's this right here, what you got to use. You know what I'm saying? And then, so on the second phase of that, you take a person who the drum is handed to. Santa Claus brought them a drum under the Christmas tree. You know what I'm saying? I'm just using some analogies here. And the drum is basically under the tree. Now they got a drum. And so there are going to be two different mentalities happening right there, okay? You're going to have one person with a drum I'm trying to hold the camera here. You're going to have one person that knows what it took or knows what it takes, or, they had to build their own drum. They literally had to put it together piece by piece. And it turned out to be fabulous. And when you put that drum on display, i.e. your business, i.e. Your relationship, i.e. the building that you're building, i.e. the car that you're building, i.e. the motor, whatever it is you're building, and you had to go out here and KILL and you know, forward to find. And when I use that word, I'm talking about having a hunt, you know, and then track down, you know, your dinner and what you need and all that kind of stuff. That person who had that drum handed to them, that could form a form of resentment, is what I was trying to say. And you can't let that bother you, because you are the one who had to go out to make this thing work. See what I'm saying? You know what it takes. See, they had a drum handed to them. You created your own drum and people love it. So yeah, who he think he is to make his own drum? Who she think she is to make her own drum? No, man, you use your creativity and you created your own drum. So be encouraged by this video. Chef Joseph's Kick Sauce for Entrepreneurs channel. Hit the like button. Hope I said something to influence not influence, but hopefully I said something that has sparked, you know, your light bulb, you know, to understand, you know, dance to the beat of your own drum. You know what I'm saying? And when the universe starts to shift you to make your own drum so you can play at the orchestra or at the parade, just know people gonna hate it that you got your own drum and you made it and it look good. It's the same thing you find anywhere else and it's unique. You can have a problem. That's what happened to me. I don't have a lot of friends. Like, I'm good. I have people that's around, you know, that I know through business and stuff like that. But just know, like, I've made, like, I see the looks. I ain't gonna say made enemies, but yeah, there's certain people that feel a certain type of way about me because I had to make my own drum, you know, because, you know, no one gave me a drum. And I said, you know what? I did my research and I decided to create and build my own drum. But anyway, be encouraged by this video, but just be aware that when the universe starts to shift you, take heed to that. You know, it's a beautiful thing because you're going to your next level and you can't expect people who, that's the title of the video. Anyway, that's another title that came to me. Dance to the beat of your own drum or make your own drum. If you see that title come up too, is what it's going to be one of the three that I talked about here. So anyway, because I just wanted to shoot the video, didn't have a title, but 3 titles came to me as I was speaking to you. So create your own drum. Dance to the beat of your own drum. And be aware that when the universe shifts you to that stage where you have to play your own drum, hey, play it to the best of your ability. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody needs to see and hear your drum. And then the story behind you, you know, creating that drum. What did it take for you to do it? Which you can turn into anything. I'm not going to change gears into that. But be encouraged by, you know, by the story or the analogies that I've used here. And, you know, when the universe starts to shift you, pay attention to how your spirit feels, because your spirit will basically feel it before your body will. I mean, your body and your energy will start feeling it, because anytime you go into these spaces, it's not going to feel the same, and that means it's time for you to shift. All right, Chef Joseph's Kick Sauce for Entrepreneurs channel. Like and subscribe to the video. And I'm glad to those of you all who are watching the videos. I appreciate it very much. And yeah, and be encouraged. All right, peace.